Hello and welcome. In this quarterly webinar, I'm going to be talking about how developments happen in open source, and the focus of this one will be on Koha LMS and Aspen Discovery. So open source means that users of Koha are free to customize and change their own downloaded copy. It's free to users all over the world. The code is completely open to see, modify, and use. This is why it's very difficult actually to get a true number of Koha users, for instance, worldwide, as a large proportion of those users will be individual or private instances that are completely self-managed and hosted. But why don't more people actually completely customize their version of their open source software? So the real reason most people don't do this is the free upgrades. These add all the juicy new stuff, but they would require you to go over and constantly redesign your own customizations. And globally, the Koha community, for instance, only supports the last 2 updates or versions of the software. And then the manual and all the other advice tends to move on. And very quickly, there are very few people left that languish on the older versions that can help you if you need the support. So what do the majority do? They have a few choices. They can hire an expert, or they might employ a company like ourselves. A big difference here with proprietary systems is that customers are free to change the company that supports the open source software. The companies who have an in-house developer, these companies like ourselves, PTFS Europe, have in-house developers that can push through your wish lists. Or they may have an individual who they've actually employed. But in either scenario, most still use the global channels of communication to get the developments that they need. And then these are then shared back to the whole community. And that then eliminates those upgrade woes from the previous slide. So Koha has been around supporting libraries for a long, long while, and this means it's grown to include all the requirements of all libraries, from tiny enterprises to huge consortia and across sectors. So the functionality is very rich, but also requests for development are constant. It really is amazing how much collaboration and support is available globally for from the community to support the safe development of this one library LMS. Unlike proprietary systems, the roles in development and quality control are entirely by volunteers, with management of each of the roles taken on annually. So to give you a feel for this, I'll explain the Koha development workflow. I must point out that none of these routes are ever used for security. These happen very quickly. The massive global user base means vulnerabilities are spotted early and are fixed or sealed off by all the major developments of Koha as soon as possible. But for other developments and issues, how are they raised? Well, there's a mailing and open chat channel available to any Koha user across the world. One of these is a text chat portal where users exchange ideas for more efficient Koha. A good example is a recent posting on how to limit web bot trawling of your system, which can impact on the speed and performance. Sometimes bots are not malicious at all. This could be something like a web indexer or a plagiarism checker, such as Turnitin, that is scanning your system and causing a slowdown. Smaller communities such as user groups regionally, user groups for modules or projects, or associated with companies like ourselves, often act as a conduit for requests for development. Or sometimes bugs have arisen, been fixed, and have added new possibilities. A good example of this is that new function to jump to user records from reports is amazing. Can it also do it with ISBNs? The community has a poll running so that members can vote on their most wanted developments. And finally, There are those with a support company that can pay for in-house developments to speed along their individual request, and these improvements are then shared with the worldwide community. This could be a plugin or part of the central system. There is also an accessibility advocate, which is an annual role who works on making sure that the accessibility aspects are not affected by any upgrades and deals with any accessibility related requirements. One of the goals for the next stable version of Koha is to ensure it passes WCAG 2.2 AA standards. For example, the current advocate is Matt Blenkinsop, who actually works for us as one of our developers. There is an Open Bugzilla page where anyone can place required fixes and development. There is a community who write documentation for Koha. The lead of this also rotates annually. This area is where the manuals are updated or translations happen. And the volunteers are from a wide range of users, because sometimes if you really need a specific translation, that might qualify you as the expert for the job. The current documentation lead is Ord, who works for us also at PTFS Europe. So how developments happen? A Bugzilla page is created, which gives it a unique code, and this can be raised by absolutely anyone. After it's created, a person, a coder, who can be anyone again, takes up the request and creates a patch or develops a code to create the new section. This will 9 times out of 10 be someone from one of the major support companies, though, across the world, such as Bywater Solutions in the States, Biblibre in France, and PTFS Europe here in the UK. This is then reposted back to the community Bugzilla as a needs sign-off, and this is where wider involvement occurs with other users of Koha, because they might be invested in that particular patch or fix, and often they participate in testing the patch or development in secure sandboxes online before marking it as signed off. But this sounds like the end, but isn't quite the end. Next, a designated team for the latest release. They're called the Release Manager and the Quality Assurance Manager, and these again rotate annually, perform standardized quality checks to ensure the patch does not negatively affect any other part of Koha. Things that are tested here are different settings, and such as different settings of preferences, and that it will update with other upgrades, and it won't affect any other modules, all of which the sandbox would not have tested. There is often quite a lot of adjustment to code that happens at this stage, but then it is marked as past QA. It is set on the process of being integrated into Koha as a pre-release unstable version by the release maintainer, another role which is annual, and the status is set to pushed to master. After a lot more testing, the release maintainer decides the patch can be pushed to the stable version. They do that and set the status to pushed to stable. The bug is marked as resolved or fixed by the bug closer, who has to be a different person than the release maintainer, but can be the original poster or the original tester. The bug is only closed eventually when a release is made of Koha that contains that patch. This is usually no more than quarterly, with 2 major releases per year. The bug numbers are all unique, and even the closed ones can be reviewed at any time in the future by searching that code. So as you could see, there are a lot of steps to go through before something actually happens in Koha that you see. So you might be surprised that this entire process, from reporting to resolving and being included, can happen within 2 months if the timing is right. So what's the future direction for Koha? Koha has had so much bolted on to its original code over the years. The parts of the system now take up a large amount of time each upgrade to ensure that there are no clashes with new content. So a redo of some of the older modules must be planned into the development cycle. To avoid this in future, though, it's likely that Koha will become more plugin based. The main Koha will stay stable on the whole, but new modules or redos of modules will be offered as an optional. The ethos of open source will still be the same, with a library of free plugins for users to choose from. Swifter upgrades with less bug fixing and smaller plugins can be maintained by the individual creators more efficiently, meaning more choice and a painless upgrade solution for all Koha libraries. Examples of this sort of plugin environment, perhaps a bespoke events module or an integration with a specific other system or a translation pack. Over time, an extensive plugin library might allow for a simplification of the base Koha, and building a bespoke Koha for your libraries would be easy via the plugins without the upgrade woes. So I'm now going to talk a little bit about Aspen. Aspen is the newest discovery to the market. It was released in 2019 and the first one in a long time. It is an open source and was developed by Mark Noble, who is one of the directors of our partner company, Bywater Solutions in the US. Aspen developments and design decisions come directly from feedback from the library community. There is a Slack community of 300 and growing users where you can chat in real time with the Bywater staff and other Aspen community members. They talk about best practices, workflows, tips and tricks. A monthly Aspen gathering on Zoom, live from the States, is a community meeting to discuss Aspen features, upcoming releases, and how libraries are leveraging Aspen. The meeting takes place on Zoom the first Thursday of every month, and that happens at 7 p.m. GMT or 8 p.m. British summertime. In the meeting, demos of new features, what is upcoming in new releases, community and future release priorities, etc. are discussed. These are recorded and they're all available on the Bywater YouTube channel. You can find out more about these and the community events in the Aspen community calendar, which is also open and available for you to see. Customers add their development quests via the above routes or via their support companies such as PTFS Europe or Bywater, and they are added to a GitHub development board and prioritized. Most of the work is done by these two companies, with the creator Mark Noble still very much involved and invested in his project. As Aspen is newer, relatively small in comparison to Koha, and growing in the UK, the process is much simplified and you will find it easier to influence the direction of development for your Aspen. So hopefully that gives you a little insight into how open source gives you more options in terms of guiding the development of your system. As an individual, you can be very hands-on, filing and fixing bugs, testing, attending community gatherings, as involved as you like, all the way up to keeping, maintaining and hosting your very own version. Or you can allow someone like ourselves, PTFS Europe, to act on your behalf, to raise and prioritize your wish list items, support your issues, and deal with your security, hosting, and training. It's completely up to you. The beauty is, if you're ever unhappy with the service, you can take your Koha to another host and support company, which is not something available to you with most other library systems. I hope you enjoyed this webinar. And if you are not aware, there are many more available. Please sign up on our website. And I've left on the screen here ways for you to find out more. Our YouTube and website. And of course, if you want more information tailored to your own personal library, please get in touch via our website form or our sales email. Thank you.